Good morning, Greater Milwaukee Adventist Fellowship. This is Pastor Bryan from the Milwaukee Central and Southside churches. Just wanted to share with you a brief devotional. And today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. What a beautiful day it is. So, wanted to talk with you for a few minutes. Ain't going to be long this morning, under the caption, and the winner is, and really what I'm talking from today is maybe I've been influenced a little bit by the latest sporting news. Now you're wondering, how are we having any sports news when everything basically is shut down? Well, Michael Jordan just produced a docu-series with ESPN and I think Netflix. I haven't seen it as yet because I don't have cable, and many of you don't have cable or don't care about television, but your young people would know this. And maybe because we're in Wisconsin, again, we don't really care too much about Michael Jordan news, but hey, there's nothing else happening right now. So it has taken the world by storm. Folks been talking about this 10-part series. Yep, you heard me correct. 10 parts that basically highlights the greatness of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, I think. And one of the things about this series is it really shows the background and the drama, the behind the scenes to the talent and the gift that Michael Jordan is. And it highlights what a transcendent player he was. Now the problem is that many people are coming to the conclusion that this docuseries paints Michael Jordan as the hero and everybody else as the villain. Scottie Pippen was thrown under the bus. Not going to spend too much time talking about bull stuff here in Wisconsin. You guys don't really care about that. But the point really is the documentary reflects kind of this mythos, this way we tell stories. When we tell stories about ourselves or about significant people in our lives, the winner is normally the one who is the most competent. The world that we live in today rewards competency, pays a premium for competencies. When we make our lists and our brackets, we tend to be looking for the people who are the most competent, people who can get the job done. And though we often talk about heart, we're looking for people with heart, with soul. In this ego-driven world, many times competence trumps the softer graces. It's not the meek that inherit the earth, but it's the strong, those who are so singularly focused on winning, those who are so competitive, those who have that fire within their bones that they can get the job done, whatever the cost. If they have to sacrifice family, that's fine. If they have to sacrifice health, that's fine as well. That competitive drive, the little train, I know I can, the can-do spirit. We celebrate that in the West. We celebrate that here in America. The rugged individualist, the Lone Ranger type of personality. And, as I was looking through the documentary and thinking about that, I look at myself first to see what are the things that I celebrate about myself. And I realized one of the things that I really take pride in is my knowledge. I love to know stuff. love to feel that I understand things and that I can explain things. It makes me feel good to know that I got it. I get it. I understand it, or I am well read. It strokes the ego, and it really goes back to that value that we place on competence. And yet, when we look at a world that kind of celebrates competence, we kind of get the same series for our lives as Michael Jordan and ESPN and Nike and Netflix produced on a team effort. So you take a team effort and you highlight the charismatic, you highlight the competent, and you forget about the contributions of others. So what I find is Paul has something to say about that. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and I want to emphasize verse 13 in particular, but the whole passage really sets up a different paradigm for ministry. It's not ministry based so much on our giftedness, but ministry based on our graciousness. I hope somebody caught that today. You see, Paul understands that ministry that is based on giftedness alone creates Lone Ranger type of driven personalities that drive everybody away from them. And it leads me to ask the question, what do you pride yourself on today? Is it your giftedness, your area of competency? Or is it your charity and your compassion? Let me read for you verse 13. It says, 3 things will last forever. And I'm reading from the New Living Translation. Faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. The winner is love. Paul this morning reminds us that in a church that profiles charisma and competency, the charismatic gifts, prophecy, knowledge, speaking in tongues, the gifts that we promote up front, the gifts that even in a lockdown, right, when no other gifts are able to assemble and to function, we still celebrate the preaching gift. We still celebrate the teaching gift. We still celebrate the prophetic gift. That's something that we place a high premium on. And Paul himself recommended that we covet the best gifts, that we covet the prophetic gifts. So there is something valuable in these charismatic gifts. But Paul understands that in a church that profiles the charismatic and the competent, we need to prioritize charity, because charity makes the most enriching impact. What good is our knowledge? What good is our prophecy? What good is our speaking in tongues, or linguistic abilities, or spirit-led praise, if it's not done in love? Now, many people don't see the point of love, especially in the last days. As we get closer and closer to the end, the prophetic becomes that much more important in the minds of others. But Jesus himself says part of the thing that differentiates the last days from ordinary time is because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Maybe we know that we're living in the last days, not just because of the signs of what's happening in the outside world, but the signs of what's happening in the hearts of humanity. Humanity's hearts have gone cold. The focus on the competent, the focus on the charismatic, and a lack of focus on charity and love have left us living in a cold, cold world. So this morning I want to challenge us with 1 Corinthians chapter 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 reminds us that what really identifies a Christian is not his giftedness, it's not her giftedness, but her graciousness. Maybe what I ought to be looking at is not how knowledgeable I am, but am I a loving person? When the video or the docu-series is made of my life, will the highlights show my abilities, or will they show the agape love that I spread to everyone? Here's what Paul says. Paul makes 3 points about love's enriching impact. That love makes the difference. Paul makes 3 points why love makes a difference. Firstly, love is the most endearing quality. Some people celebrate different features of themselves, whether physical features or their personalities. But Paul says the most endearing quality that we can have is love. Why? Because love is patient and love is kind. The positives and what love doesn't do. It's not rude. It doesn't boast. It doesn't do all these other things. You read it. But what he's really showing is a portrait of an endearing person. We need to be endearing people even in these times, to be patient and kind with each other. People come with so many different ideas, so many different prophecies, so many different perspectives. And as a church, more than our ideas, we need to be a church known for our love, that we are patient and kind with each other, even and especially when we don't agree. And that's convicting. That's something we all could do better at. To be patient and kind to each other, to be more endearing to each other, to treat each other like brother and sister. Secondly, love is the most elevating motivator. You go back and watch Michael Jordan's speech, and it mirrors many of our own motivations. Why do we do the things we do? Some people do things because they want to be recognized. Some people do things because others have hurt them and they want to prove to the world how competent they are. Michael Jordan talks about every slight that people didn't believe in him became logs in the fire that fueled his greatness. And it sounds great. It works, right? It created the greatest basketball player ever. But brothers and sisters, logs on the fire don't create good Christians. We can't be motivated by the slights and the hurts of others. And it's easy to go about ministry trying to prove everybody wrong, trying to prove your doubters wrong, trying to prove your haters wrong. That motivation is addictive. Hate is addictive because it gives you this sense of passion and power, but it doesn't last. It's kind of like the energy drinks, the 5-hour energy. Apologies, the 5-hour energy. It gives you a spike and a high, but then it brings you crashing right back down. Many of us, we don't eat sugar, all of these stimulants, but we do spike our spiritual experience with hate and all these other fiery intoxicants, when really we need to have the steady consistency of love. Paul says love hopes all things, love bears all things, love believes all things, because love never fails. Love won't spike and then fall. Love keeps your motivation consistently. And that's probably one of the reasons why people start things and never finish, because Check the motivation. Why did we do it in the first place? Was it rooted and grounded in a deep love for God, a deep love for the neighbor? Or was it done logs under fire? People slighted you, so you got to prove them wrong in anger. Then the third thing, love is the most eternal virtue. Did you catch that? There's grace here, and there's hope here, because what Paul is reminding us is all these other things aren't going to last. Think about that. Because many times in the past, when I think about going to heaven, I think about doing the things that make me different from everybody else. So, you think about people in when we get to heaven, when Jesus Christ returns, right? We'll be building houses and planting vineyards. Well, I'm not really good at doing any of those things. Not good at building houses, not good at planting vineyards, but some of us are. And we think of carrying out our research, bringing, things that we used to learn here, we bring it to heaven, and now we're experts in that area. And it feels as if heaven will be filled with all these experts, Mozart and all of these people who can do beautiful music. And then this passage kind of hit me. If prophecy and knowledge and all of these things are temporary, because we know in part and we prophesy in part, then that which is perfect, when that which is perfect is come, that which is in part is done away with. Then could it be that when we get to heaven, we'll be known not so much by what we do, but who we are? Not by our giftedness, but by our grace. Paul says, you see these three things here on earth that we don't put any premium on? Those are the only three things that will make it up to heaven. In heaven, there won't be a final four. There'll be a final three. I just gave a basketball reference for the young people there. The final three will be faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Love is the most eternal virtue. See, what defines us is not our giftedness, but our graciousness. And the tragic truth is, it's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. It's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. Yes, it's an eloquent church, but it's a church where sharpened tongues cut like samurai's steel. It's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. It's a prophetic church, yes, with deep insights into humanity's brokenness. But without love, it has no balm for humanity's healing. It's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. It's a learned church, lofty in its words, but without love, it's lacking in its deeds. It's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. It's a believing church that moves mountains regularly, but without love, this church has no moving power for the human heart. It's hell on earth to be trapped in an ungraciously gifted church. It's a church where even its sacrifices are so stained by selfishness that gifts become a burden, not a blessing. See, Paul reminds us, the Apostle Paul, reminds us that what defines us is not our giftedness, but rather our graciousness. Because nobody wants to be trapped in a team where there's so many eyes that everybody else is diminished so that the one person can be exalted. Jesus came to earth not so much to demonstrate the giftedness of God, the power of God, the zeal of God, but rather Jesus came to earth to make God's love plain. To make God's love plain. So many things Jesus could have done, could have said, could have been known for. If he wanted to, Jesus could be the most brilliant person on earth, right? The most intriguing thesis on things that we don't even know about yet. But Jesus chose to be known for love, for his great love for broken humanity. And I say praise God for that. Jesus in the end chose the gift that has no expiration date. And today I want to recommend to you that if you had a list where you ranked different spiritual qualities, yes, covet the greatest gifts, the charismatic gifts, the preaching gifts, the teaching gifts. But in all your coveting, the greatest is love. God bless you. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for our Sabbath services. And I know this evening we'll be blessed by Pastor Zach Payne. And then tomorrow morning, we'll also have Pastor Payne do our Divine Hour service. So looking forward to the mini-series that he'll be breaking the bread of life to us. God bless you and have a wonderful day.